The night of June 6, 1980 began like any other in the small city of Manchester, New Hampshire. For 14-year-old Laureen Rahn, it was a typical summer evening spent in the modest apartment she shared with her mother, Judith, and younger brother. The Rahn family lived on Merrimack Street, a neighbourhood that balanced working-class grit with a close-knit sense of community. Yet within those walls, a quiet tension hung, a fragile normalcy soon to be shattered. Laureen was a shy but bright girl, known among friends and family for her thoughtful nature and subtle smile. At school, she was average but well-liked, and at home she was a daughter who craved the ordinary comforts of family life even as adolescence pulled her toward independence. That evening, Judith left the apartment for a few hours, entrusting Laureen to the care of a close family friend. It was a decision made out of routine, a brief moment away that would unknowingly set the stage for a mystery lasting decades. Shortly after Judith departed, an unsettling detail was discovered. The light bulbs in the apartment's hallway had been unscrewed. This eerie fact was initially dismissed as a prank or forgetfulness, but as the night unfolded, it took on a darker significance, premeditated attempt to cloak something in darkness. As the hours passed, Laureen vanished without a trace. The friend left to watch over her retired to a bedroom, unaware that the girl she was supposed to be looking after was slipping quietly out of sight. When Judith returned, she found an empty apartment, no sign of a struggle, and a silence that screamed more than words ever could. No note, no call, no hint of where Laureen might have gone. The initial police response was thorough but hampered by the limitations of the era. Missing persons cases involving teenagers were often complicated by assumptions. Many presumed that young people, especially girls who disappeared voluntarily, were runaways, but Judith knew her daughter. Laureen would not simply leave without saying goodbye, without a whisper of farewell. Something was wrong. Days turned to weeks, weeks into months, and their search stretched across state lines. The community rallied, flyers were posted, interviews conducted, but Laureen remained missing. Over time, the case grew cold, slipping into the shadowy realm of unsolved disappearances that haunt towns and families alike. Yet, beneath the surface of this unresolved tragedy lay subtle clues and haunting questions. Who was the mysterious boy reportedly present that night? Why were the hallway lights deliberately darkened? What was the significance of the anonymous phone calls made months later, tracing back to distant locations on the West Coast? And most chillingly, why had no one come forward with answers for so long? Laureen Rahn's disappearance is not just a story of a missing girl, it is a haunting journey into the vulnerabilities faced by so many young people, the imperfections of justice systems, and the lingering hope that truth, no matter how deeply buried, will one day emerge. This is the story of a vanished girl, remembered quietly but never forgotten, a cold case that continues to ripple through time, demanding to be heard. In the immediate aftermath of Laureen's disappearance, the atmosphere in Manchester was thick with confusion and fear. The Rahn family was thrust into a nightmare no parent ever anticipates. Judith's frantic calls to friends, neighbours, and police painted a picture of desperation and profound heartbreak. Those first 72 hours, often critical in missing persons cases, slipped by with no sign of Laureen, no hint of her whereabouts. Authorities approached the case with a mix of standard procedure and skepticism. In 1980, the protocols surrounding missing teenagers were not as advanced or nuanced as they are today. It was not uncommon for cases like Laureen's to be deprioritized under the assumption that many runaways returned home within days or weeks. Yet for Judith and those closest to Laureen, the idea of her vanishing by choice was inconceivable. Interviews were conducted, but with few solid leads, the investigation quickly began to stall. The friend who was present in the apartment the night Laureen disappeared provided statements but little clarity. The presence of a young boy, mentioned by some witnesses but never officially identified, added a layer of mystery that puzzled investigators. Was he a friend? A stranger? Someone with information? His silence remained an unsettling void. One of the most perplexing aspects was the unscrewed light bulbs in the hallway outside Laureen's apartment. This detail, initially thought trivial, hinted at premeditation, a deliberate effort to create darkness and concealment. It suggested that whoever was involved had planned to manipulate the environment to their advantage, ensuring that visibility was limited and their actions obscured. But who had done this, and why? Months later, a series of phone calls surfaced that would deepen the mystery. These calls, made to the Rahn family's home number, but traced to locations as far away as Santa Monica, California, raised both hope and confusion. The calls were brief, often consisting of silence or faint background noises, and were made using third-party billing, meaning they appeared to have been charged to the Rahn household without the caller's identity being readily clear. These phone calls suggested that Laureen may have been alive, trying to reach out, trying to stay connected to her family from afar. But why was she so careful to avoid direct communication? And why had she chosen such a complicated, indirect way to do so? The idea that she was in trouble, trapped in an environment where a direct plea for help was impossible, began to take hold. Despite the efforts to track these calls and follow any leads that might emerge, the trail eventually went cold once again. Local and federal resources were stretched thin, and without concrete evidence, the case slipped further into obscurity. The idea of Laureen as a runaway persisted among some officials, and even within parts of the community, clouding the urgency of the search. Meanwhile, Judith refused to give up. She became an advocate not only for her daughter, but for all missing children, fighting to raise awareness and push for better systems to support families in crisis. She attended community meetings, spoke on local radio shows, and connected with other families whose children had disappeared under similarly troubling circumstances. The more time passed, the more the case seemed emblematic of a wider social failure. A failure to protect vulnerable young people, a failure to listen, and a failure to act decisively. It was a silence that extended beyond Laureen's disappearance, touching on issues of exploitation, neglect, and the unseen dangers that lurked behind everyday facades. In many ways, Laureen's story became a quiet rallying point, a reminder that missing persons cases are not just about statistics or news headlines. They are about real lives interrupted, real families forever changed, and real questions that demand answers. The cold case of Laureen Rahn was no longer just a mystery frozen in time. It was a call to action, a challenge to look deeper, to listen harder, and to never forget the girl who vanished quietly on a summer night in 1980. The years that followed Laureen Rahn's disappearance were marked by intermittent bursts of hope and long stretches of uncertainty. In the early 80s, the landscape of missing persons investigations was evolving, but resources remained limited, and cases like Laureen's too often fell through the cracks. Yet every so often, a new lead or sighting would spark a flurry of activity, only to fade again into silence. One such lead came from a witness who claimed to have seen a girl matching Laureen's description near a bus station in a neighbouring state several weeks after her disappearance. The sighting, though unconfirmed, suggested that Laureen might have travelled far from Manchester. This possibility opened new avenues but also complicated the search. If she was indeed travelling alone, where was she headed and why? Compounding the mystery was the presence of the unknown boy reportedly in the apartment on the night Laureen vanished. His identity was never established, but some friends of Laureen mentioned a young male acquaintance who had recently shown unusual interest in her. Whether this was the same boy or someone else remains unclear. Investigators considered the possibility that this individual might hold crucial information, but without a name or reliable description, the lead stagnated. Meanwhile, the psychological impact on the Rahn family was profound. Judith, grappling with grief and frustration, sought solace in support groups and advocacy networks. She became involved with organisations dedicated to missing children, sharing Laureen's story to keep it alive in the public eye. Her relentless advocacy was both a coping mechanism and a beacon of hope for other families navigating similar tragedies. During this period, media attention was sporadic. Local newspapers revisited the case on anniversaries, and occasional television segments recapped the facts, but national coverage was rare. In the pre-internet era, spreading awareness was more challenging, and many cold cases languished in obscurity, their stories known only to a handful of committed individuals. In the mid-90s, renewed interest emerged with the advent of computerized databases linking missing persons reports across jurisdictions. Authorities revisited the details of Laureen's case, cross-referencing reports of unidentified juveniles and suspicious activity in areas where she might have travelled. Despite these efforts, no definitive match or breakthrough occurred. One of the most haunting elements of the case was the discovery years later that the phone calls traced back to the West Coast were likely linked to someone attempting to communicate covertly. Experts hypothesized that Laureen, if she was indeed the caller, was signaling distress or seeking connection without exposing herself to danger. This theory lent weight to the notion that her disappearance was not voluntary but coerced, raising uncomfortable questions about exploitation and trafficking, issues that were only beginning to be understood in law enforcement circles at the time. As time passed, the case of Laureen Rahn took on a symbolic weight. It illustrated the vulnerabilities faced by young girls in precarious situations, the gaps in protective systems, and the enduring pain of unresolved loss. For many in Manchester and beyond, it became a cautionary tale and a call for better vigilance, education, and support. In reflecting on the early decades after Laureen's disappearance, it is clear that her story is intertwined with broader societal shifts. The growing awareness of child exploitation, the development of more sophisticated investigative tools, and the emergence of grassroots advocacy have all shaped the ongoing search for answers. Yet despite these advances, Laureen's fate remains a mystery, one that continues to haunt those who remember her and those who seek justice. Her story, though marked by silence and unanswered questions, is also a testament to resilience, the resilience of a family who refuses to forget, the resilience of a community that still hopes, and the resilience of a girl whose disappearance sparked a journey that transcends time and place. As the 1990s gave way to the new millennium, hope for closure in Laureen Rahn's case was rekindled by technological advances that transformed cold case investigations. DNA analysis had become a powerful tool, allowing law enforcement to revisit old evidence with fresh eyes. The advent of national databases for missing persons and unidentified remains provided new platforms for cross-referencing cases that might once have seemed unrelated. In Manchester, police reopened Laureen's file multiple times, combing through old reports and re-interviewing witnesses. They examined the few physical clues left behind: the unscrewed light bulbs, the scattered shoes found near the apartment, and even the faint traces of a scent that might have belonged to an unknown visitor that night. However, the passage of time had eroded much of the tangible evidence. Memories faded, witnesses moved away, and records were sometimes incomplete. One promising lead came from forensic genealogy, a cutting-edge technique that combines DNA analysis with genealogical research to identify unknown individuals. While no direct matches to Laureen's DNA profile were found in national databases, investigators hoped this method might one day reveal new connections, perhaps identifying a suspect or uncovering hidden family links. Judith Rahn, though aging and wearied by years of uncertainty, remained vigilant. She worked tirelessly with cold case investigators, submitted family DNA samples for comparison, and continued to appeal publicly for information. Her unwavering dedication brought renewed media interest and inspired community efforts to keep Laureen's story alive. Around this time, a broader awareness of the trafficking and exploitation of young women gained prominence. Advocates and experts began to recognize patterns that might explain Laureen's disappearance, patterns of grooming, coercion, and forced movement that were often invisible to those outside these dark networks. This evolving understanding added layers of complexity and urgency to the search. The community of Manchester too underwent changes. Once a small, relatively insular town, it became more diverse and connected. This shift brought new resources, but also new challenges in policing and social support systems. Local organisations started hosting educational programs about safety and awareness base for teenagers and their families, hoping to prevent future disappearances. Despite these advances, the heart of the mystery remained. What truly happened to Laureen on that summer night in 1980? Was she abducted by someone she knew? Did she manage to escape and go into hiding? Was she a victim of a cruel fate no one ever uncovered? Each theory carried its own weight of pain and possibility. In interviews with retired detectives and family friends, a picture emerged of a case that was as much about human failure as it was about human endurance. Investigators lamented the missed opportunities and the limitations they faced. Family and friends expressed frustration but also gratitude for every moment Laureen was remembered. The cultural memory of the case deepened. Stories of Laureen's disappearance were passed down through generations, her image preserved in faded photographs and family stories. Her name became a symbol of the countless others who vanished quietly, their stories layered with the hope for answers and the pain of absence. As the digital age progressed, online forums and social media communities took up the cause. Amateur sleuths, true crime enthusiasts, and concerned citizens pooled resources and theories, sharing information across continents. Some believed that somewhere, buried in the vast web of data and memories, lay the key to unlocking Laureen's fate. Yet, despite these efforts, the silence persisted. The case, now decades old, had become a complex tapestry woven with threads of hope, loss, and unanswered questions. And so, Laureen Rahn's disappearance remains a haunting reminder of a life interrupted, an enduring enigma that challenges us to keep searching, to keep remembering, and to keep believing that one day the truth will come to light. The late 2000s ushered in a new era of cold case investigations, fueled by digital technology and a renewed cultural interest in unsolved mysteries. For the Rahn family, this period was a bittersweet blend of hope and frustration. The rise of social media platforms created opportunities to share Laureen's story far beyond the borders of Manchester, reaching strangers who might hold vital information or who might simply keep her memory alive. Judith Rahn embraced these new tools, creating online memorials and participating in forums dedicated to missing persons. She found solace in connecting with other families who understood the unique torment of living with an unresolved disappearance. These networks offered emotional support and sometimes even new leads, but the underlying truth remained elusive. Law enforcement agencies, meanwhile, were adapting to the challenges of digital information. Cold case units incorporated online databases, DNA registries, and geographic profiling into their investigations. The idea was no longer just to search locally, but to cast a wide net, analysing patterns and connections that might span states or even countries. Within this context, the case of Laureen Rahn took on new dimensions. Analysts re-examined the details with fresh perspectives, exploring previously overlooked possibilities. Could Laureen have been moved across state lines? Was there a connection to emerging trafficking routes identified in the region? Did the anonymous phone calls from the West Coast suggest a deliberate attempt to communicate across long distances, or were they red herrings? While no definitive answers emerged, these inquiries helped maintain momentum. Public awareness grew, especially through true crime podcasts, YouTube channels, and investigative blogs that recounted Laureen's story with sensitivity and care. These narratives highlighted the importance of not just chasing facts, but honouring the humanity behind every missing person. At the community level, local schools and youth organisations began implementing programs designed to educate teenagers about personal safety, recognising grooming behaviours, and seeking help in dangerous situations. These preventive efforts, though unable to alter Laureen's past, represented a collective attempt to protect future generations. Throughout all this, the emotional landscape of the Rahn family remained a central thread. Judith's strength and resilience became a touchstone for those who followed the case, a testament to a mother's unwavering love amid unimaginable uncertainty. Her efforts reminded the public that behind every statistic is a person, a daughter, a sister, a friend whose absence echoes through time. As the digital age continues to evolve, so too do the possibilities for uncovering truth in cold cases like Laureen's. Advances in artificial intelligence, data analysis, and international cooperation offer new hope that the silence can be broken. Yet, the core challenge remains the same: to piece together fragmented memories, to listen to voices long muted, and to hold space for the unanswered questions that define such enduring mysteries. Laureen Rahn's disappearance, quiet and unresolved, stands as a haunting reminder of the fragility of safety and the profound impact of loss. Her story continues to ripple through communities, inspiring vigilance, compassion, and the relentless pursuit of justice for all who vanish without a trace. More than 4 decades have passed since Laureen Rahn quietly disappeared from her Manchester apartment, yet the echoes of that summer night in 1980 still reverberate. In recent years, renewed efforts have sought to shed light on what happened to her, fueled by both technological advancements and the growing recognition of the importance of addressing cold cases with fresh urgency. One of the more recent developments involved a collaborative initiative between local law enforcement, cold case units, and national organisations dedicated to missing persons. These partnerships aim to pool resources, share information across jurisdictions, and apply modern forensic techniques to re-examine existing evidence. While no conclusive breakthroughs have been publicly reported, the reinvigoration of the investigation has brought a sense of cautious optimism. Community engagement has also played a pivotal role. In Manchester, remembrance events and vigils honour Laureen and other missing persons, fostering awareness and solidarity. Schools, non-profits and civic groups have developed programs focused on prevention, education, and support for families affected by disappearances. These initiatives underscore the continuing relevance of Laureen's story beyond the confines of her own tragedy. Experts in criminal justice emphasize that cold cases like Laureen's often depend on the convergence of new information and fresh perspectives. Witnesses who were once reluctant to speak may come forward, memories may be jogged by the media exposure, and advances in forensic science can unlock secrets long hidden. The hope is that piece by piece the puzzle can be reconstructed. Public interest in true crime narratives has surged in recent years, with podcasts, documentaries, and digital platforms bringing attention to cases that might otherwise fade into obscurity. These mediums, when handled responsibly, serve as powerful tools to amplify voices that have been silenced and to galvanize community involvement. For the Rahn family, every new inquiry, every renewed search is a step toward healing. While the passage of time makes the quest more challenging, it also sharpens the resolve to find answers, to seek justice and to honor Laureen's memory. Her disappearance remains one of the many shadows cast across the landscape of missing persons cases, a reminder of lives interrupted and families forever changed. But it also stands as a testament to the enduring human spirit, the refusal to forget, the commitment to hope, and the relentless pursuit of truth. Laureen Rahn vanished quietly, but her story continues to speak loudly, to those who listen, to those who remember, and to those who will one day uncover what lies beneath the silence. The disappearance of Laureen Rahn is more than a cold case. It is a mirror reflecting the vulnerabilities faced by countless young people whose voices have been lost in the shadows. Her story underscores the critical importance of community vigilance, the need for compassionate and persistent advocacy, and the power of memory to keep hope alive against the passage of time. As the years pass, new generations inherit the responsibility to seek justice for those who vanished without answers. Laureen's case teaches us that every missing person is more than a name or a statistic. They are a life suspended in uncertainty, a family in anguish, and a story waiting to be told. This ongoing quest to uncover the truth behind Laureen's disappearance calls on society to do better, to improve the systems meant to protect vulnerable youth, to listen more carefully to those left behind, and to never stop asking questions, even when the silence feels overwhelming. The path to resolution may be long and fraught with frustration, but it is not impossible. Advances in forensic science, the dedication of law enforcement, and the unwavering commitment of families and communities create a beacon of hope. Each new lead, each fresh inquiry brings us closer to understanding what happened that fateful night. Laureen Rahn's memory endures in the hearts of those who loved her, and in the minds of those determined to find answers. Her disappearance remains a haunting mystery, but also a rallying cry, a call to remember, to search, and to never let her story fade into oblivion. As we reflect on Laureen's case, we honour not just her life, but the countless others who have vanished quietly, reminding us that behind every unsolved case lies a profound human story yearning for justice and closure. And so the journey continues, one of remembrance, resilience, and relentless hope, that one day the silence will be broken, and Laureen Rahn's story will find its rightful ending. With the passage of time, the search for Laureen Rahn's truth has come to symbolize both the fragility and resilience of hope itself. Though decades have slipped by, the unanswered questions remain as vivid as ever, each one a thread that, if followed, might unravel the mystery that has long haunted a family and a community. In a world where countless faces and names can be lost to history, Laureen's story insists upon being remembered, honoured, and pursued with unwavering dedication. Her disappearance, quiet and without fanfare, challenges us to look beyond the surface, to consider the hidden struggles that many young people face, often unnoticed until tragedy strikes. It reminds us of the importance of listening deeply to the voices of the vulnerable and believing in their worth and safety. This case also highlights the crucial need for law enforcement, communities, and families to work together, ensuring that no disappearance is dismissed or forgotten. Over the years, advances in technology, shifts in societal understanding, and the unrelenting advocacy of those who refuse to let Laureen's name fade have kept the embers of hope alive. Her story has been told and retold, inspiring new generations to join the search for answers, to question, to remember. Though the silence surrounding her fate persists, the resolve to find her, or at least to uncover the truth, remains steadfast. Laureen Rahn's case is a haunting reminder that every missing person story matters, not just for the lives they led, but for the lives they touch in their absence. This enduring mystery continues to ripple through time, inviting us all to bear witness, to seek justice, and to hold space for those who vanished quietly, but whose voices demand to be heard. In honouring Laureen, we honour the countless others who remain lost and affirm a collective promise to never stop searching, to never stop hoping, and to never let the silence win. The story of Laureen Rahn is not merely a record of a disappearance, but a profound narrative of loss, love, and the enduring human need for closure. Though the decades have passed with few concrete answers, the case remains alive in the hearts of those who remember her, a testament to the power of memory and the relentless pursuit of truth. Laureen's absence has left a void that no time can fill, but it has also ignited a determination that transcends generations. Her family's unwavering advocacy has spurred improvements in how missing persons cases are handled, emphasising the importance of early action, thorough investigation, and compassionate support for affected families. In the broader context, Laureen's case echoes the stories of many who have vanished without explanation, stories that underscore the complexities of human vulnerability and the societal challenges that contribute to such tragedies. It calls on us to reflect on the systems in place and the work still needed to protect the young and marginalised. As we look back on Laureen's life, her disappearance, and the tireless efforts to find her, we are reminded that each missing person carries a story that deserves to be told, heard, and never forgotten. Her journey, though marked by uncertainty, continues to inspire hope and action. Ultimately, the mystery of Laureen Rahn invites us to hold space for the unanswered, and to commit to a future where every disappearance is met with urgency, empathy, and unwavering resolve. Through remembrance and relentless pursuit, we honour Laureen's memory and the countless others who vanished quietly but whose stories deserve to be brought into the light. With each passing year, the shadow of Laureen Rahn's disappearance stretches across the fabric of time, a poignant reminder of a young life interrupted and a family's enduring anguish. Yet within that shadow lies a light, a persistent flame of hope fueled by those who refuse to let her story fade into oblivion. Her case, while shrouded in mystery, has contributed to a deeper understanding of the complexities surrounding missing persons investigations. It highlights the importance of continued vigilance, the necessity of adapting investigative methods, and the profound impact of community engagement. The evolution of technology and increased awareness of the vulnerabilities faced by young people have shaped new approaches aimed at preventing such tragedies and resolving them when they do occur. For the Rahn family, the search has been a lifelong journey, marked by resilience and love. Judith's voice, unwavering and resolute, has been a beacon, keeping Laureen's memory alive and inspiring others to speak out and advocate for missing individuals. Their story resonates as a call to action, a reminder that behind every disappearance lies a network of relationships, memories, and unspoken hopes. Though the final chapter remains unwritten, the narrative of Laureen Rahn is one of courage and connection. It reminds us that while some stories begin with loss, they can also inspire a collective commitment to seek justice, offer support, and never surrender to silence. As we reflect on this case, we honour not only Laureen, but all who vanish quietly, urging us to keep listening, keep searching, and keep believing that one day the truth will emerge from the shadows, bringing peace to those who wait and justice to those who seek it.